Example number 4 on how to use quadratic formula to solve this equation. So again, the first thing is that we should have the equation in the standard form on the left hand side. We need to make the right hand side equal to 0, and then we can employ this formula. Here we have 4x squared on the right hand side. Let me minus 4x squared here to cancel out this 4x squared. And now we'll do the same right here, minus 4x squared. And then right here I have a minus x, so I'm going to add an x right here to cancel this out. I will do the same right here, plus x. I notice that I just line out with the x squared terms and then the x terms. And then the last one right here, I have to subtract 5, so I'm going to plus 5. And also do the same on the right hand side. This way, we will see 7x squared minus 4x squared is equal to 3x squared. And then if we just look at the x terms, negative 3x plus x is equal to negative 2x. So put down minus 2x, and then we have just a 5, plus 5. Plus 5, it's equal to everything on the right hand side becomes 0. So now, this is in the standard form. We know that a is equal to the first number in front of the x squared, so a is equal to 3. B is the number in front of the x, which is negative 2. And c is equal to 5. Then we're just going to use this formula. I know that x is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, everything on the top over 2 times a. Again, the more times that you write this down, the better that we can remember it. So now we just need to plug in the numbers into the formula and then work out the calculations. We will start off by putting down the negative, and I see the b. I will open the parentheses, and then b is equal to negative 2, so I will put negative 2 inside the parentheses, plus minus, and then have the square root. I see the b inside again, open the parentheses, b is again negative 2 to the second power, minus 4, and a, open the parentheses, a is equal to 3, c is equal to 5. So open the parentheses and maybe make the square root longer, and c is equal to 5. Put it inside this parentheses. Everything on the top. So make sure that the fraction parts for both of these two things, two parts on the top. Everything on the top over 2 times a, which is 2 times 3, just like that. So this will be the setup. Now, to continue with this, negative times negative 2 becomes a positive 2. And then we have the plus minus, and then we have the square root. Let me open the square root. And then I need to figure out what's inside. So let me work out the inside on the side. The inside, we are looking at negative 2 squared minus 4 times 3 times 5. And negative 2 squared is equal to positive 4 minus 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 5 is 60. So then when we subtract 4 minus 60, this becomes negative 56. And this is the number that we are going to plug it into here. So, and I'm going to make the negative inside in red. Okay, we have the negative inside of the square root, and we have the 56 over 2 times 3, which is 6. So this is pretty much it for the quadratic formula part. Now we have to look at how can we simplify the square root. So the square root of a negative number inside, okay, we have a square root of a negative number inside, and then we also have to deal with the number 56. Let's see how can we simplify that. And again, maybe let me just show you guys the work on the side. So let's pay attention to square root of negative 56. First of all, whenever we see a negative inside of the square root, we should automatically just take out an I, the imaginary number I. Okay, so we'll write this as I, because we have a negative inside of the square root. This becomes an I, and then we are looking at square root of 56. is square root of 56. And then how can we simplify square root of 56? You have to ask yourself, what times what can be 56? And then better yet, you have to look at a perfect square. Namely, I want to look at if 4 goes into 56, if 9 goes into 56, or if 16 goes into 56, and so on. So then we notice that I, okay, just bring down the I. 56, okay, 56. This is indeed equal to 4 times, I believe 14. Okay, 4 times 14. Oops, want to have more spot. So I right here, square root of 56. I'm going to break down the 56 as 4 times 14. And then the reason for me to choose this combination is because 4 is a perfect square. Okay, 4 is a perfect square. And 14, even though I can break down 14 as 2 times 7, but none of them is perfect square, so I cannot do anything further anymore. Square root of 56 is going to be, let me just write it as square root of 4, okay? Because this 4 is still inside of the square root, so I put square root of 4 times another square root of 14. Okay, so that's how we can break down square roots, especially if these two numbers are positive, okay? Then we get I, and square root of 4 is a nice number 2, so it's just a regular 2, so I times 2, and we'll write that as times square root of 14, which we cannot simplify this anymore. And in another word, I can write this as 2i square root of 14. Number first, variable, and then square roots. So with this 2i square root of 14, we can rewrite this back to that square root. So we will get 2 plus minus 2i square root of 14, which we replace with that 2i square root of 14 over 6. And as I have shown in the previous video, once we get to this, first of all, you cannot just cancel the 2 and 6 out. You have to make sure that you canceled the factors out correctly, okay? To do so, the way I like to do this is, especially when we have just one number in the denominator and 2 things on the top, I can split this into two fractions. The first fraction will be just 2 over 6. Let me just write this down as 2 over 6. Then I will bring down the plus minus. I will bring down 2i and square root of 14 over 6. I take this and break down into two fractions. And once we have two separate fractions like this, I can just look at 2 over 6, reduce that, this becomes 1/3. 1/3 plus minus 2i square root of 14 over 6. Again, the 2 and the 6 can be simplified. This is 1, this is 3. And on the top, I just have I and square root of 14 over 3 on the denominator. Okay, so x is equal to 1/3 plus or minus I square root of 14 over 3 for the answer. If you would like, you can also look at the question this way. If you would like to simplify it in the following fashion. Notice that I have the 2 and the 2 in common. They are both outside, so that's why I can do this. Okay, that's why I can do this. Since they are both outside, they have the 2 in common. I can factor out the 2 right here, and then, well, I have originally there 2. 2 is out now, so I just have a 1 left. Because 2 times 1 is equal to 2. And then plus minus, I have 2i square root of 14, but the 2 is out now. I have the leftovers, I square root of 14. I square root of 14. So both of this over 6. So you must break down the top into factors. We have 2 parentheses, so that means 2 times this parentheses over 6. Then I can cancel right here. I can cancel out this 2, which is 1, and cancel out the 6, becomes 3. And then we will end up with the same answer. We get 1 plus minus I square root of 14 over 3. So both way works, and just make sure that you cancel this out correctly. Either you take out 2 first on the top, or you can just rather to separate into 2 fractions and simplify individually. And now real quick, it's always a good habit to check answers on calculators. Again, check answer on calculator. So Casio FX115ES plus, go to mode, go to 5 for equation, go to number 3 for the quadratic equation, and I'm looking at these numbers. So make sure that you combine items correctly. Okay, make sure that when you combine items correctly and you have the equation in the standard form. So this is something that you just have to check on your own. And once you have the equation in this format, in this standard form, I can just put in 3, -2, and 5 into the calculator, and then have the calculator check the answer for us. So enter 3 for A, equal, B is equal to -2, equal, C is equal to 5, equal, and then equal again. So as you can see that we have 1/3 plus 1/3. This is the first answer. X1 is equal to 1/3 plus square root of 14 over 3i, and that's exactly the same as what we got right here, except for like the calculator just put the I after the fractions for the second fraction. Okay, and then if we press the down button, x2 is equal to 1/3 minus, so that's the 1/3 minus square root of 14 over 3i. Okay, so now this way we know that we did the calculations correctly. And before we go, make sure that you go back to mode, go back to number 1 for regular computation.